My straight best friend took me to the beach. Then we had to share a bed. Gay love story. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Before we jump into today's story, we have one small favor to ask. If you enjoy emotional gay love stories filled with romance, unexpected twists, and unforgettable moments, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. It's completely free, and every subscription helps us continue bringing you more heartfelt stories you'll love. We'd also love to know where you're watching from. Leave your city or country in the comments below and say hello. We enjoy hearing from viewers all around the world. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get started with today's story. My best friend was straight, which would have been much easier to remember if he would stop falling asleep on my shoulder and holding my hand like it belonged there. Liam Carter had been asleep for nearly 20 miles, his sandy blonde hair pressed against my shoulder while our rental car followed the coastal highway toward the beach. Somewhere after the last gas station, his hand had landed over mine between the seats. I stared at our fingers for exactly 2 seconds before returning my attention to the road, because explaining that I wrecked a rental car while admiring my straight best friend sounded like an unnecessarily humiliating obituary. This meant nothing. Liam was affectionate. Liam hugged people. Liam once fell asleep against our friend Marcus during a baseball game and woke up with nacho cheese on his shirt. Physical contact meant absolutely nothing to him. Unfortunately, my heart had never received that memo. My name was Noah Miller. I was 24, openly gay, employed, reasonably functional, and secretly in love with the man currently using my shoulder as a pillow. Liam and I had met when we were 12. We survived middle school, high school, separate colleges, bad haircuts, worse relationships, first jobs, family holidays, and enough midnight phone calls to qualify as emergency services. Somewhere during the summer before college, friendship had quietly turned into something else for me. Liam never knew. I made sure of it. Loving a straight guy was difficult. Losing my best friend sounded worse. Liam shifted in his sleep and tightened his fingers around mine for one brief second. My heart responded like it had just been personally invited to make terrible decisions. I carefully moved my hand back to the steering wheel. Outside, blue water appeared beyond the dunes. This weekend had been Liam's idea. 3 months after his breakup with Lauren, he had called me on a Tuesday night and announced that we needed to escape the city for a few days. He claimed he was completely fine, but I had known Liam long enough to understand that completely fine usually meant please distract me before I start thinking. So I agreed. Now I was driving 3 hours toward a beach town with the one person I probably should not spend an entire weekend alone with. Liam finally stirred. Are we there yet? You are 25 years old. That does not answer my question. About 40 minutes. He stretched, looked toward the ocean, then smiled at me. Thanks for coming. You paid for the hotel. So your friendship can be purchased? Apparently for 2 nights and free breakfast. Liam laughed, and I concentrated very hard on the highway. I needed this, he said after a moment. We have not done anything that is just us in forever. We see each other every week. That is different. He shifted slightly toward me. No work. No group plans. No girlfriends. He paused just long enough to make me notice. No dates. Just us. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. Careful, Carter. People might think you like me. Liam looked at me for a second longer than the joke required. Then he smiled. Maybe I do. I laughed because laughing was safer than asking what he meant. Ahead of us, the ocean grew larger, the road curved toward town, and I repeated the rule that had protected me for 7 years. Liam was straight. Liam was my best friend. And absolutely nothing about this weekend was going to change that. By the time we reached the beach town, I had replayed Liam's "maybe I do" so many times that my brain had turned 3 harmless words into a full federal investigation. Liam, meanwhile, behaved like he had said nothing unusual. He rolled down the window, turned up the radio, and pointed at the ocean like he had personally arranged it for the weekend. Our hotel was a pale blue building across from the beach, complete with white balconies and enough seashell decorations to make its theme impossible to misunderstand. We dropped our bags in the room, changed for the beach, and within 15 minutes Liam was already walking barefoot toward the water. You move suspiciously fast for someone who slept most of the drive. I was conserving energy. On my shoulder. Very comfortable shoulder. I decided not to respond to that. The afternoon was warm. The sand was crowded with families and vacationers, and music drifted from an open-air bar near the boardwalk. Liam looked happier than I had seen him since his breakup with Lauren. That should have been the only thing I noticed. Instead, I noticed everything. He stole my sunglasses. He took terrible pictures of me when I was not looking. He brushed sand out of my hair after I sat too close to where a kid was building a castle. Every gesture was ordinary by Liam's standards and catastrophic by mine. "Delete that picture," I said when he showed me his phone. "Absolutely not." I looked confused. "That is historically accurate." I reached for the phone. Liam stepped backward, laughing, just as a wave traveled farther up the beach than either of us expected. I shifted away too late, and Liam caught my forearm before I lost my balance. "Got you." 2 words. Completely normal words. My heart reacted like they came with legal consequences. I was fine. "You were losing an argument with gravity." I had a plan. Was the plan falling into the Atlantic? I pulled my arm free and started walking before my face could betray me. Later, we stopped at the beach bar for fish tacos and lemonade. I was explaining why Liam's tropical shirt looked like something a retired dentist would buy in Florida when a guy at the next table smiled at me. His name was Ryan. He seemed friendly, funny, and interested enough to ask whether I wanted to meet him for a drink later. Normally, I might have said yes without thinking twice. Instead, I looked at Liam. His smile had disappeared. "Actually," Liam said, "we already have plans tonight." Ryan glanced between us. "Oh, sorry. Are you two together?" "We are together," Liam answered immediately. My brain temporarily stopped providing useful services. "Not together, I said. We are best friends." Ryan nodded, wished us a good weekend, and returned to his table. I waited until he was out of earshot before turning toward Liam. "We are together? We are sitting at the same table." You know perfectly well what he meant. Liam took a slow drink of lemonade. "Maybe. Then why did you answer like that?" He looked at me, and for once there was no joke waiting behind his eyes. Would it really be that bad if somebody thought we were? The noise around us seemed to fade for a second. I searched his expression for some sign that he was teasing me. Nothing. Then Liam stood, picked up his sunglasses, and nodded toward the shoreline. "Come on. Sunset." I followed him toward the water while reminding myself not to build hope from ambiguous sentences. Unfortunately, Liam Carter seemed determined to provide enough ambiguous sentences to build an entire house. By the time the sun disappeared behind the ocean, I had created 3 new rules for surviving the weekend. Stop analyzing Liam. Stop treating every strange sentence like evidence. And absolutely stop remembering the way he had asked whether being mistaken for a couple would really be so bad. They were excellent rules. They survived until we returned to the hotel. The woman at the front desk recognized us immediately, and the apologetic expression on her face made me nervous before she even spoke. "There has been a problem with your reservation." Liam leaned against the counter. "What kind of problem?" She explained that a booking error had affected several rooms, including ours. The room with 2 beds that we had reserved was no longer available, and because it was a busy summer weekend, the nearby hotels were nearly full. She could move us to another room in the same building with the same ocean view. Liam shrugged. "That works." I should have asked one very important question. Instead, 10 minutes later, I stood inside our replacement room staring at a single queen-size bed. Liam dropped his bag beside a chair and walked toward the balcony. "Great view." "Liam." "What?" I pointed at the bed. He followed my finger. "Yes, Noah. That is definitely a bed. There is one. Your counting remains impressive. We were supposed to have 2. Liam looked from me to the bed and back again. "We can handle it. I can sleep on the floor." "No." You rejected that very quickly. "Because it is ridiculous. We have known each other for 12 years. "Exactly. I would like our friendship to survive until 13. Liam laughed. "What exactly do you think is going to happen?" "Nothing. Obviously nothing." That was somehow both reassuring and disappointing. I move around when I sleep. So do I. I steal blankets. I will steal them back. I might snore. Liam shook his head. "You do not." I narrowed my eyes. "How would you know?" "Senior year cabin trip. You fell asleep on the couch." Of course he remembered. Liam could lose his car keys twice in one afternoon, but somehow maintain a permanent archive of my sleeping habits. "Fine," I said. "But we established borders." "Borders?" "Your side. My side. International law applies." "Do I need a passport?" "Only if you cross without permission." Thunder rolled somewhere beyond the balcony. We both turned toward the ocean. Dark clouds had gathered across the horizon, replacing the colors of sunset, and rain began tapping against the glass within minutes. Liam checked the weather on his phone. Storm is moving through tonight. Of course it is. Should clear by morning. Another rumble sounded outside. Liam glanced at the bed and then at me. Looks like we are staying in. I had gathered that. You still look nervous. I am thinking about dinner. You are staring directly at the bed. I immediately looked toward the window. Liam laughed, picked up his bag, and headed toward the bathroom. Relax. I promise to respect the border. He stopped at the door and looked back. Unless you steal the blankets. When the bathroom door closed, I stood beside the window and watched. Rain blurred the lights along the boardwalk. For 7 years, I had protected our friendship with one reliable strategy. Keep my feelings hidden and maintain enough distance to remember what Liam and I were. Now a booking mistake had removed the second bed. A storm had removed the possibility of going anywhere, and Liam Carter was apparently determined to remove every remaining inch of emotional common sense I possessed. By 10 that night, the storm had turned the balcony windows into dark mirrors. The boardwalk outside was nearly empty, and I had discovered that sharing one bed with Liam required more concentration than any final exam I had ever taken. We had ordered burgers from the hotel restaurant, watched half of a terrible comedy, and spent 15 minutes arguing about whether our old high school principal had secretly disliked us. Everything felt normal, which somehow made the situation worse. Liam sat against the headboard in an old gray sweatshirt, completely relaxed, while I occupied the far edge of the mattress like crossing the center would trigger an international incident. Noah. What? You are going to fall off. I am comfortable. Half your shoulder is hanging over the edge. I enjoy having an emergency exit. Liam looked at the enormous empty space between us. There is an entire bed over here. That sounds like propaganda from your side of the border. He laughed and pushed more of the blanket toward me. Move over. I shifted about 2 inches. Happy. Deeply. The lights flickered once, then again. The television went black, leaving the room quiet except for rain tapping against the windows. Perfect, I said. Now the universe is controlling the atmosphere. Liam turned on his phone flashlight and placed the phone on the nightstand, sending a soft glow across the room. You make everything dramatic. I am trapped in a hotel during a storm with a man who stole my sunglasses for half the afternoon. I have earned drama. You got them back. Eventually. Liam smiled, but neither of us spoke after that. Without the television filling the silence, every small sound seemed louder. The rain, the wind, the mattress shifting when Liam moved. Then his knee accidentally bumped mine beneath the blanket. I moved away on instinct. You know I am not contagious, Liam said. The research remains incomplete. He laughed softly. A few seconds passed. Can I ask you something? My stomach tightened. Your questions have been unusually dangerous today. Have you ever fallen for a straight guy? Every joke waiting in my head disappeared. I stared at the ceiling. That is extremely specific. I was wondering. People who are wondering usually ask about favorite movies. Noah. His voice was quieter now. I swallowed. Once. Liam did not answer immediately. Did he know? No, why not? Because he was lying less than 3 feet away from me. Because he had been my safest place since we were 12. Because wanting Liam quietly had always seemed easier than discovering what my life would look like without him. Because I wanted to keep him, I said. Liam turned toward me. I could feel his attention before I finally looked over. Maybe telling him would not have made you lose him. You cannot know that. Neither could you. I tried to smile. Some risks are not worth taking. Liam held my gaze in the dim light. There was no teasing in his expression now. Maybe he should have gotten a choice. My chest tightened. A choice about what? Liam hesitated, and for the first time all night, he looked nervous. About whether he could love you back. The rain filled the silence between us. I searched his face for a harmless explanation, some familiar grin that would turn the conversation back into a joke. None came. Liam looked away, and his left eyebrow lifted slightly, the same tiny movement I had recognized since high school, whenever he said something he was not ready to explain. I lay there staring into the darkness, suddenly certain of only one thing. Sleep was no longer part of tonight's plan. Morning arrived with sunlight spilling through the curtains and Liam sleeping close enough that I immediately reconsidered every decision that had brought me to this hotel room. At some point during the night, our carefully negotiated international border had apparently collapsed. Nothing dramatic had happened. We were simply facing each other near the middle of the bed, sharing the same blanket while Liam slept peacefully, and my brain calculated whether 18 inches still qualified as a respectable friendship distance. I slipped out of bed before he woke and stepped onto the balcony. The storm was gone. The ocean stretched beneath a clear blue sky, and the boardwalk was already filling with cyclists, families, and people carrying enormous cups of coffee. Normal people having normal mornings, none of them wondering why their straight best friend had suggested that another straight man might be capable of loving them back. You disappeared. Liam's voice came from behind me. I turned. His sandy blonde hair was completely disorganized, and he was holding 2 hotel coffee cups. I traveled approximately 12 feet. Without notifying me. It happened very quickly. He handed me 1 cup, 2 creams, 1 sugar. Of course he remembered. About last night, Liam began. No, Noah. There was a storm. The electricity failed. People say strange things during weather emergencies. Liam almost smiled. That is your explanation? Until my attorney arrives. He leaned beside me against the railing. Fine. We can pretend I never asked. Somehow, that bothered me more than the question itself. By noon, we were back on the beach, and I had almost convinced myself that everything could return to normal. Then Ryan appeared near a snack stand like the universe had hired him specifically to test that theory. Hey, Noah. He smiled. Still interested in getting that drink tonight? I glanced toward Liam. He stood several feet away, studying a rack of souvenir shirts with the concentration of a man pretending not to listen. Liam wanted normal. Fine. I could do normal. Sure, I said. Around 7? Sounds good. Ryan walked away, and Liam remained suspiciously interested in a shirt featuring a cartoon lobster. We continued toward the pier. He said nothing for nearly a minute. You are quiet, I said. I am fine. His left eyebrow moved. You are lying. I am not. Liam, I have known your face since you had braces. Do not challenge me. He kept walking. I just do not. Like that guy. You spoke to him for maybe 30 seconds. That was enough. Based on what? I do not know. I stopped walking. Liam took 2 more steps before turning back. What? You have been acting strange since yesterday. You told Ryan we were together. You asked whether I had ever loved a straight guy. You suggested that person might love me back. Now you suddenly dislike Ryan because he asked me for 1 drink. Liam looked toward the water. Maybe I am being protective. Protective of what? He had no answer. The realization reached me before I could talk myself out of it. You are jealous. Liam looked directly at me. I expected a laugh, a denial, anything that would put the world back where it belonged. Instead, he exhaled slowly. I know. My heartbeat stumbled. Then stopped. His gaze dropped to the sand. I am trying to stop being jealous? Liam looked back at me, and there was nothing playful in his expression. Trying to understand why I am. The beach continued around us as if nothing had changed, but something had. For 7 years, hope had been the one thing I refused to let myself have. Standing there with Liam, I realized hope was no longer asking permission. I stared at Liam while the beach carried on around us with almost insulting normalcy. Waves rolled toward shore. A bicycle bell rang somewhere near the boardwalk. A family walked past carrying folding chairs and a cooler. Meanwhile, my best friend had just admitted he was jealous and apparently had no idea why. You were trying to understand why you were jealous? I asked. Liam rubbed the back of his neck. Yes. That is not particularly reassuring. I know. You keep saying that. Because I keep knowing things without understanding them. I gave a nervous laugh. That might be the most Liam Carter sentence you have ever produced. Usually he would have laughed with me. This time, he only looked at me. Noah, I am serious. So am I. I glanced toward the pier. Last night you asked whether I had ever fallen for a straight guy. You told me maybe he could love me back. Yesterday you told Ryan we were together. Now you are jealous because he asked me for 1 drink. I am not trying to confuse you. I know. My voice came out quieter than I intended. But you are. Liam's expression changed. What do you want me to say? There it was. The opening I had avoided for 7 years. Every sensible instinct told me to make another joke and walk away. Apparently, my sensible instincts had taken the afternoon off. The guy from last night was not hypothetical. Liam went completely still. What? The straight guy I fell for. My heart was beating so hard that I could feel it in my throat. He is real. Liam searched my face. Noah, it is you. 2 words. 7 years. That was all it took to turn something I had protected in silence into something neither of us could ignore. Liam said nothing. Somehow, his silence hurt more than I expected. I have loved you since the summer before college, I continued. I never told you because you were my best friend first, and keeping you mattered more than getting an answer I thought I already knew. Liam swallowed. I did not know. That was the point. Why did you never tell me? I almost laughed. Because you are straight. Liam looked away for a second. When he looked back, uncertainty had replaced the surprise in his face. I do not know what I am. My chest tightened. There it was. Not anger. Not rejection exactly. Something harder to understand. Okay. That is not what I meant. You do not have to explain. Yes, I do. No, Liam. I shook my head. You do not owe me feelings because I finally admitted mine. That is not what I am saying. Then what are you saying? He opened his mouth and stopped. That hesitation answered more than words could. I cannot stand here while you decide whether I am an exception, an experiment, or just your best friend making everything confusing. Liam's face fell. I would never treat you like an experiment. I know. And I did know. That was the worst part. Liam was not trying to hurt me. He simply did not have the answer I had secretly wanted. I looked toward our hotel across the road. I am canceling with Ryan. Because of me? Because going out with somebody while thinking about somebody else would be unfair. Liam took a step toward me. Noah, do not leave yet. I think I am going home tomorrow. His expression changed immediately. We are supposed to stay through Sunday. Plans change. I forced a small smile. Maybe some distance will help. Then I turned toward the hotel before courage could become another mistake. For 7 years, I had believed telling Liam the truth might cost me my best friend. Walking away from him on that beach, I discovered something almost worse, finally telling him and having no idea what we were anymore. I packed my bag before dinner because apparently heartbreak had turned me into the most efficient traveler on the East Coast. Shirts folded, charger wrapped, toothbrush packed, emotional stability unavailable. I had already canceled with Ryan, telling him something unexpected had come up, which was technically true if confessing 7 years of feelings to my best friend qualified as something unexpected. Liam returned to the hotel shortly after sunset. I heard the door close behind me while I stood near the balcony watching orange light fade across the ocean. You packed. I told you I was leaving tomorrow. I thought you might change your mind. I am trying something new called making healthy decisions. Liam set his phone on the table. Running away is healthy? I turned toward him. Giving you space is not running away. I did not ask for space. You said you did not know what you were. That does not mean I do not know what you mean to me. I looked away because that sentence landed dangerously close to hope. Liam, please. Lauren asked me something before we broke up. I frowned. What does Lauren have to do with this? More than I understood at the time. Liam sat on the edge of the bed. She asked why it always felt like you were already my person. My chest tightened. We are best friends. That is exactly what I told her. He gave a tired smile. I have explained everything with those words for years. He looked down at his hands. When something good happens, you are the first person I call. When something goes wrong, you are still the first person I call. When you dated Daniel, I hated him. I blinked. The architect. Yes. You told me. He was nice. I lied. Your eyebrow moved every time you said it. Liam almost smiled. I know. Then his expression became serious again. When you got sick 2 winters ago, I canceled a date to bring you groceries. You brought 6 cans of terrible soup. The soup is not the point. It was aggressively bad soup. Noah. His voice softened. I still have your gray college hoodie. I stared at him. You told me you lost that. I kept it. Why? Liam was silent for a moment. That is the question I should have asked myself years ago. He stood but stayed where he was, leaving several feet between us. I kept telling myself I was protective because we grew up together. I told myself I disliked the people you dated because nobody was good enough for my best friend. I told myself missing you was habit. I told myself wanting your attention was friendship. He took a slow breath. Then Lauren asked why every relationship I had seemed to have you standing somewhere in the middle of it. I could barely speak. Is that why you planned this trip? Partly. He saw my expression and continued quickly. Not because I wanted to test anything. I wanted time alone with you because lately I could not stop noticing how different everything felt when it was just us. Liam held my gaze. Yesterday, when Ryan asked you out, I was jealous. Last night, when you told me about loving a straight guy, I hoped you meant me before I even understood why I was hoping. My heart seemed to forget its normal rhythm. Then why did you say you did not know what you were? Because I do not have a perfect label ready. Liam's voice was steady now, but that is not the same as having no feelings. He paused. When you told me you loved me, I went quiet because every excuse I had used for years stopped working at once. Neither of us moved. His left eyebrow remained perfectly still. I was not trying to figure out whether you mattered to me, Noah. His expression softened. I was finally admitting how much you already did. For several seconds, I forgot how conversations worked. Liam had just taken 7 years of assumptions and quietly rearranged every one of them, and apparently I was supposed to respond like a functioning adult. You cannot say something like that and expect me to know what to do with it, I finally said. Liam nodded. That is fair. I spent years teaching myself not to hope for this. I know. No, you know that I loved you. You do not know what it was like watching you date other people and reminding myself that being your friend had to be enough. Liam looked down. You are right. I folded my arms because my hands had started shaking and I preferred not to advertise that information. And I cannot be your experiment. His eyes returned to mine immediately. You are not. You just told me you do not know what label fits. I do not. His voice remained calm. But not knowing the label does not mean I know nothing. I said nothing. Liam took one careful step closer, leaving plenty of space between us. I know I was jealous of Ryan. I know I have been jealous before. I know the thought of you going home tomorrow and putting distance between us feels completely wrong. He paused. And I know that when you said you loved me, part of me was scared, but another part was relieved. Relieved? Because suddenly I was not imagining this alone. My heart made an extremely inconvenient attempt at optimism. What exactly are you asking me for? Liam surprised me by shaking his head. Nothing. Nothing. You do not owe me a chance because I finally caught up with feelings you have been carrying for years. You do not owe me patience while I find perfect words. I just need you to know that if you leave because you think I feel nothing, you are leaving for the wrong reason. That silenced me. Liam sat on the edge of the bed. After a moment, he placed one hand on the blanket between us, palm up. He did not reach for me. He simply left it there. A choice. That is very dramatic, I said. I learned from you. Terrible decision. Probably. Despite myself, I smiled. I walked over and sat beside him, leaving a few inches between us. His hand remained open. No pressure. No assumption. Just patience. I looked at Liam, then down at his hand, and finally placed mine in it. His fingers closed gently around mine. The gesture was familiar. The meaning was not. You are shaking, I said. Liam gave me a nervous smile. This is new territory. Excellent. I am glad one of us is finally nervous. You have been nervous since we left home. That information is irrelevant. We both laughed, and some of the weight in the room finally disappeared. Then Liam became quiet again. Can I ask you something? Your recent questions have been dangerous. I know. He held my gaze. Can I kiss you? For once, my brain produced absolutely nothing clever. You are really asking me that? Yes. Now, I should have asked myself better questions years ago. I studied his face, making sure there was no uncertainty hidden behind the words. Then I nodded. Yes. Liam moved closer slowly, giving me every opportunity to change my mind. I did not. The kiss was brief and gentle, less like the ending of 7 years of waiting and more like the first honest sentence of something neither of us had written yet. When he leaned back, he looked more nervous than I had ever seen him. Was that okay? I smiled. Ask me tomorrow. His eyes widened. That bad? No, I squeezed his hand. I just want to see whether you are still here when morning comes. Liam's expression softened. Noah, I am not going anywhere. For the first time in 7 years, believing him did not feel dangerous. For a moment, neither of us moved. Liam was still close enough that I could feel the warmth of his hand around mine, and somehow the few inches between us felt more dangerous than the entire weekend had. You are staring at me, he said. I am processing. Should I be worried? Probably. Liam laughed softly, but when I looked at him again, the nervousness was still there. This was Liam, my best friend since we were 12, the person I knew better than anyone. And yet I had never seen him look at me quite like this. His eyes dropped briefly to my mouth before returning to mine. My heart immediately noticed. Liam. Yeah. You are doing it again. Doing what? Looking at me like you want to kiss me. His left eyebrow lifted. You really do know my face too well. I have had 12 years of practice. Liam smiled, but this time I did not make another joke. I reached out and caught the front of his sweatshirt before he could lean away. His expression changed. Noah. The first one was very polite. Liam blinked. Was that a complaint? Maybe. That was all the encouragement he needed. Liam leaned toward me again, but there was less hesitation this time. His free hand came carefully to the side of my face, and when he kissed me again, it was warmer and longer than the first. I closed my eyes and pulled him a little closer. For years, I had imagined what kissing Liam might feel like. Somehow, none of those imaginary versions had included the nervous laugh he gave when we briefly pulled apart, or the way his forehead rested against mine, or how naturally his arms settled around me when I moved closer. Then he kissed me again. This time, neither of us was testing anything. I wrapped my arms around him, and Liam held me against him as if the distance we had spent years protecting no longer made sense. The kiss remained soft, but there was certainty in it now, something neither of us had managed to put into words. When we finally separated, Liam stayed close. So, he whispered, still want me to ask you tomorrow? I smiled. No. I shook my head and looked at him. You can kiss me tomorrow too. Liam's smile appeared slowly. I can work with that. He pulled me into his arms, and I rested my head against his shoulder. For once, neither of us needed another question. I woke the next morning to an empty space beside me, and for approximately 5 seconds, every fear I had spent 7 years collecting returned at once. Liam's shoes were gone. His phone was missing from the nightstand. The bathroom door stood open. I sat up and stared at his side of the bed while my brain immediately produced several explanations, all terrible. Maybe morning had changed everything. Maybe Liam had reconsidered. Maybe I am not going anywhere had come with an expiration date nobody had mentioned. I was halfway out of bed when the hotel door opened. Liam walked in carrying 2 coffees and a paper bag. He stopped when he saw me. Why do you look like somebody canceled Christmas? I looked at him, then at the coffee, then back at him. You left. I went downstairs. Without warning. You were asleep. Notes exist. Liam lifted the paper bag. So do blueberry muffins. A muffin is not a note. It is better than a note because you can eat it. Relief ruined my attempt to remain annoyed. Liam crossed the room and handed me my coffee. 2 creams, 1 sugar. You thought I ran, he said quietly. For 5 seconds. Only 5. Maybe 7. I was under emotional pressure. He sat beside me. I told you I was staying. People sometimes say things at night that feel different in the morning. His expression became serious. Does it feel different to you? I looked down at the coffee in my hands. Yes. Liam went completely still. I bumped my shoulder against his before he could misunderstand. It feels real now. He released a breath. You could have started with that. Where is the entertainment in emotional efficiency? That earned a smile. We ate breakfast on the balcony while morning sunlight stretched across the ocean. Nothing had magically become simple overnight. Liam still did not have a perfect label for what he was feeling, and I still had years of caution built into every hopeful thought. But neither of us tried to solve our entire future before finishing breakfast. Around noon, we walked back to the beach. The storm had left the sky impossibly clear, and sunlight glittered across the water. Families built sand castles near the dunes while cyclists passed along the boardwalk. Liam and I walked close enough that our shoulders occasionally touched. This time, neither of us moved away. So what happens when we get home? I asked. Liam thought for a moment. I take you to dinner. We eat together constantly. Somewhere nice. Still sounds like friendship. I pay. Interesting. Continue. Liam laughed. A date, Noah. I am asking you on an actual date. Hearing him say it made something warm settle in my chest. Okay, that is all I get. Do not become demanding. I am asking my best friend on a date after 12 years. I think I deserve enthusiasm. Fine. I am moderately thrilled. Terrible. We kept walking until Liam's hand brushed mine. Once. Then. Again. The third time, his fingers carefully slipped between mine. I looked down at our joined hands, remembering the drive here when the same gesture had felt impossible to understand. People can see us, I said. Liam glanced toward the beach, then back at me. Does that bother you? No. I thought it might bother you. He considered that seriously. Then his fingers tightened gently around mine. Let them look. I smiled. For 7 years, I had believed keeping Liam meant keeping part of myself hidden. Now we walked beside the ocean with nothing perfectly solved, but nothing hidden between us either. Behind us, the tide slowly erased our footprints. Ahead of us, the beach stretched beneath the morning sun. Liam kept holding my hand, and this time, I did not have to wonder what it meant.